I'm going to go to my guest. I'm going to bring in Sylvie Richards. Sylvie is a trust and estates attorney that I've come to know over the last couple of years due to some business dealings and a business development group that we're in together in Midtown. And Sylvie, on one of our virtual meetings this week, she brought up, a really interesting, let's call it, and not an anomaly really, but I don't know, an inconsistency or a lack of capability with people's healthcare proxies right now. In this climate right now, unfortunately, when people go to the hospital for coronavirus, they go by themselves. As sad as it may be, they have to go by themselves for the safety of the rest of their loved ones, of not getting, cross-contaminated at the hospital facility. So if you go to a hospital for coronavirus and you need someone to help make medical decisions for you, your proxy can't come to the hospital and execute that document. So Sylvie brought this to my attention. I'm going to bring her in right now. And here she is. Hey, Sylvie.
Hi, guys.
Good morning. How you doing? Well, it's afternoon now. So I am intrigued by this concept that, I just can't execute a healthcare proxy if I was, God forbid, in the hospital right now.
Yeah.
I know you've been blocking and tackling on this since the beginning of the crisis. What's going on? Talk to us. Tell us, how do we fix this? What can we do?
So it's been an interesting development because, as you know, most people who execute a healthcare proxy appoint an agent so that that agent can speak to the medical professionals, the doctors, the hospitals, and tell them what it is that they can or cannot do. And the problem now is, of course, that your healthcare proxy cannot do those things. And without special language in your healthcare proxy, you really are left alone. And what's terrible also is that usually the healthcare proxy is someone in your family. And so, as you know, families can't be with you either. So there's an emotional, there's a psychological, there's a medical distance that's created. And so what I began to think about is, well, what language can be inserted in a healthcare proxy that would, first of all, allow for the doctors, the hospitals to communicate with you telephonically or by other means, to accept, for instance, your signature on a fax machine or whatever electronic means there might be. And at the same time, hold the hospital and the medical professionals harmless from this decision, right? Because no one is going, as you know, Frank, no one is going to undertake this unless they know that there's no liability in it for them. So that's been really the challenge moving forward. And so what I did was I started with the clients that I knew were most vulnerable, right? So I know who my elderly clients are, who my clients are who have underlying conditions. And so what I did was I just, I started writing them and texting them saying, hey, I'm sending you a new document because I want you to be protected, right? I think that one of the things that attorneys can do now, I mean, I'm not deemed an essential worker in any way, shape, or form.
That's crazy. You're essential.
But I have skills that I can use to make people safe. And so that's what I've decided to do. I have decided, and so everyone who's listening knows, if you were to go to my website, you would see, I decided to offer a $250 wills package with 5 documents in it, so that people who otherwise have nothing will have a simple will package to protect them, right?
So Sylvie, yes. I put it down on the bottom of the screen, got your email address down there, email her, get your legal documents in order. I mean, amazing. special package. Let me make sure I'm understanding this though. So in this crisis, your response has been, people, these documents are essential. Many people don't have them in order, and we're talking about, I guess, like an I love you will, like all to spouse kind of will,
Simple will.
healthcare proxy, durable power of attorney, which would have
Yeah.
the someone make financial decisions on your behalf. And that whole package you're doing for what now? How much?
$250.
That's crazy. You're
And
doing
and
such a service. Thank you.
I'm adding in a living will, which goes along with the healthcare proxy. And also, there's a form that is necessary by the health department. And that's an appointment of an agent for the disposal of your bodily remains. So if, for instance, you or someone you love happens to die, in this case, we've all seen, the mobile morgues and all of these. They're horrors, really. And so, what can we do to make sure that you get a proper burial, that it meets your needs, religious and otherwise?
Sure.
And I think that is such a, what I think one of the things we don't talk about is the emotional and psychological aspect of all of this. And there's such uncertainty. And so, my response has been, well, let's try and bring a little bit of certainty in people's lives.
Great. Thank you so much for that. So in addition to, right, there's two sides that you just hit, right? So the upfront work, what can I do to prepare for going into a situation where I need to have these documents executed, number one. And then unfortunately for some folks, we're going to have to deal with, the aftermath of a relative passing away, which, again, you said you're not essential. I mean, what's not essential with all the, the people that are passing right now of a trust and estates attorney for administration? What's going on right now? Are the courts are the surrogates even open right now? How do we administer an estate right now?
So right now, I'm working with actually several people on people who died with wills or people who didn't. So what the courts are allowing you to do is to mail in your completed forms. However, there are several things, and I've been telling people. So, for instance, if you have a will and you want to copy it, you cannot unstaple it, right? Because then I have to do a staple affidavit. There are just a number of idiosyncratic rules that normally wouldn't come into play, but now are coming into play. So the courts will, if everything is in order, if you have all of your waivers, they will issue letters testamentary. Now, the issue, of course, is getting a death certificate, which sounds like an easy thing, but in this time, it is not an easy thing.
Yeah.
So
completely understand.
So we're working hard to obtain things that ordinarily would go smoothly, but it's tough. I really encourage people to engage the services of an attorney, because this is not something, ordinarily people might try to do themselves, but right now I wouldn't try it.
Yeah. Let me ask you this, Sylvie. I got a question here, and then I'm going to move on. Thank you so much for your time. So the question I'm getting is about remote executions. So what are we doing right now as far as notarizing documents? How are we doing that?
So the governor has issued an executive order which allows us to do notarizations, and there's a procedure that he has outlined. And so it is possible to notarize documents. I have been notarizing documents. So, again, there are ways now that the governor has been very responsive in this area of allowing us to do notarizations. Otherwise, we've come to a complete standstill.
Great, thank you. So just before I close and move on, Sylvie, let me ask you this: what can I expect as far as a process? So I'll reach out to you. I want to get my whole will, power of attorney, healthcare proxy, the whole thing done. I would assume, so I'm going to fill out an information sheet. You're going to do a little bit of basic drafting. You're going to send me a draft. We'll maybe have a phone call, talk about it, and then we can get to final edits and execution. If that's the process, about how long in this digital world right now are we looking from start to finish? What do you think?
It really depends on the client, right? So much of it is how long it takes you to get things back to me. I will do.
I'm kind of available right now.
Great.
A lot of people are kind of home.
You know,
I'm in the bunker.
Then this can happen fairly quickly. And I want it to happen very quickly because, of the uncertainties. We just need to make sure that people are protected as quickly as possible.
Of course. Great. So, Sylvie, thank you so much for coming on, giving us this incredibly valuable information. I'm gonna leave the banner running across the screen there for a little while.